ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download.
Jared, hey, we're gonna need you to tone it down with the Summer Friday thing, okay?
What are you talking about?
Well, for one, it's not summer anymore.
Oh, really?
Coconut. Also, who is this?
I'm the caddy.
Oh, he's my intern?
Sorry, intern. I'm his intern.
Yeah, he's doing a great job.
No golfing in the office, okay? Summer Fridays are over. You can keep the Hawaiian shirt, but the rest of this stuff, all right? Are you grilling?
Oh, yeah. Did you want a burger or a hot dog?
No, grilling in the office.
That's a good point. We should take this outside.
No, that don't. You put that right back down.
Yo, it's all in the hips.
Oh, dude, come on, we gotta go. Let's go.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's that time of the week for the NCAA Insiders. 3 men in the box today. Shout out to Quentin Mills. Congratulations on the Florida Gators winning the national championship. He is on assignment, hopes to be back with us on Friday. The headliner for the boys here. Who is the dark horse in NCAA baseball, not from the SEC? As we're getting up to the 2-month mark, this is where the rubber hits the road. They're in the middle of their conference play. So the cream starts to rise to the top here. So I'll be interested to see what the boys have to say here. Around 11:30, 11:35, Adam Ronis, at MB Fantasy Life, at Sirius XM Fantasy Radio, will be making his debut. To talk some fantasy, to talk some NBA and MLB. Super stoked to have Adam on here as well. A long time coming, so we go way, way back. So first and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. It is free. Viva Tequila Seltzer, 6 flavors in all. The East Coast is cuckoo for coconut. AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Head on over to Facebook, introduce yourself to Terry Smith, jump on back to AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Steaks, chops, seafood, appetizers, wine, you name it, he's got it. 4 subscription packs, plays there as well. Check a box, set it and forget it. Every 30 days, Terry will have his protein right there for you. So without further ado, Mr. Matt Grissom and Nick Hatko. What's up, boys?
Good morning, Jeffrey.
What's up, Jeff?
You know, I have to say this. This is the 3rd year that we've been doing a show with the NCAA Insiders. I think we're a good luck charm. I remember the Florida Gators getting to Omaha, I think in our debut year, Matt, if I'm not mistaken. If not, last year, of course. We bring Nick on in the football season. Notre Dame gets to the championship game. And then Quentin Mills and the Florida Gators win a national championship in basketball. I mean, guys, whoever's watching and listening that needs some help to promote their teams, come on down.
What more can I do? Like what? Jeff, come on. Give it to me.
This is your year. Listen, hey, we got Arkansas at least to beat St. John's. Wasn't that enough for you?
Yeah, I'm talking baseball, though. Basketball is, we'll see. Still have 94 for that. Dave Van Horn to get one. But hey, we're the new number one team.
Talk about that, Matt. I listen. I know preseason, pre-flop. We have high expectations every year for the Razorbacks here. How are we going to replace Hagen Smith was a big question that I have, and then of course the real question is, are the bats ever going to wake up? What have you seen so far, Matt?
Yeah. So one thing I looked at last year, and we were number one at one point or another last season as well, but this year's a little different to me. I never felt like we were deserving of being number one. We were more of just a placeholder until they figured everybody else out. This year, okay, let me back up. Last year, we were number one in every pitching statistic, ERA, xFIP, Sierra, mainly because of Hagen Smith. We knew his power on the mound. But our hitting, get this, I went back and looked at our regional guide. When we began, we were a 5 seed, so we were ranked number 5 at the time the regionals started. Out of the 64 teams, Arkansas was 61st in weighted runs created, 62nd in OPS, 64th in batting average, dead last. Now, you tell me, does that sound like a 5 seed? Probably not. This year, we're 5th in Sierra, 5th in xFIP, 1st in weighted runs created, 1st in batting average, 2nd in, I think, OPS, because I think Western Kentucky's beating us. But that being said, you talk about balance. This year we've got it. I'll trade 1st and 5th in pitching for, what did I say, 61st and
64th
and 1st? Yeah. A lot more balance. Oh, by the way, guess who else was number one and they were 5th in Sierra and 1st in weighted runs created last year? Tennessee.
Well,
So,
Matt,
you need the balance.
well, if that means you're at the top spot, I guess this is an easy transition to Mr. Hathcote. What happened? Why'd you relinquish it?
Yeah, a rough weekend against Texas A&M. Mentioned that on our show Friday. I said, just watch. This is going to be the weekend that Texas A&M shows up, and they did. I was talking to some people after Friday. Tennessee literally no-hit them and 10-run rolled them on Friday. Won 10-0, 7 innings, combined no-hitter. And I think that was kind of the boiling point where it's like, okay, if this team's going to have any fight, like that's the lowest of the low you could possibly get. So there had to be something, like there was probably a team meeting in the hotel or something by A&M that said, like, guys, we just got, like, it was bad before and now it's just flat out embarrassing. And then they came out doubleheader Saturday and like they looked like the team that we thought and that everybody thought was going to be the number one team in the country all year. They're still the most talented. Like if you look at draft boards and everything, like they still have the most like potential draft picks on their team. 3 starters. They got kind of beat up against Kentucky last weekend, but they've been good all season. They all showed up. So that Tennessee didn't really get a shot at the Texas A&M bullpen, which is kind of their biggest issue. And then, yeah, all the offensive stars just went crazy. It was just one of those weekends. I'm fine with it as a Tennessee fan. Like I'd rather get it out of the way now. It's sort of the same thing that happened last year when they got beat by Alabama in the series, and then didn't lose a series and didn't lose 2 games in a row the rest of the year. So hopefully this can go one of 2 ways. Either Tennessee kind of wears it and just says, hey, let's just wipe it off, move on, and show that we're still the best team in the country. And possibly, let's see if A&M, it wasn't just a one-off because they were facing the team that beat them in the national championship last year and just had something extra to play for. Or is this what's kind of going to springboard them into a second half of the season run and hopefully an at-large bid?
See, and I side more on that. I think this is a fluke. We saw it in 2 games, and it was a doubleheader, so really just one day of baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, Arkansas got beat by Missouri State. Tennessee got beat by East Tennessee. That's one day of bad baseball. Mm-hmm. Texas A&M did it, and I'm not ready to say that A&M turned their season around. They may have, but I don't know. I need to see
their upcoming schedule too sucks. They still have at Arkansas, at LSU, and Texas at home. I believe is what it is. Or yeah, it's one of like they have 2 of those are on the road, one of them's at home. So it's like 3 of the top 5 teams they still have left on their schedule. So
Baseball is a weird
it's
sport.
going to be tough.
Well, that was my next question. I mean, this is, you take MLB, 162 games, you get to the All-Star break, and we call it, the dog days of summer. Everyone's already jumping 6 weeks ahead for football. We're at the 2-month mark coming up here as we speak here. And baseball, now we're in the heart of the conference play. I don't want to say it takes these teams 2 months, but sometimes, just sometimes, the light bulb comes on. You have an opportunity to make a statement and say, hey, we're going to either save our season right here and use this as a springboard, or we're just going to bend over backwards and you know what, and we're just going to, get ready for the conference championship and be a 13 or 14 seed.
Yeah, I agree. And like I said, I think it's going to go 1 or 2, and we're going to find out quick. Like I said, because A&M's schedule coming up, they could turn right back into that pumpkin that they've been the rest of the season, or they can kind of springboard and use the talent, because it was one of those. And yes, Matt's right. Where it was one day, and I know it's 2 different games on the schedule, but a 45-minute gap. Like if you're seeing the ball well and the team is hot, like you don't lose that in 45 minutes just because you sit down and eat like a banana and a granola bar. Like you're still hot the next time you walk up to the plate and like you're feeling confident. So it was one of those days, but let's see if, like, baseball is a weird sport where it's like confidence matters so much. And like, maybe this was the one, like, hey, we can compete with anybody, and let's see it.
Matt, my headliner, and we talked a little about this on Friday. We're at that spot where you got to start looking at your portfolios. We grabbed Florida in basketball 6-8 weeks before the tournament. We had Final Four, we had championship futures on it, and I think you as well. Congratulations, you're all set there. I'll be honest, I wasn't Kelly Stewart or Kelly in Vegas that had him at 40-1 and 1,000 on him. And, I wonder how she's feeling today, because Kelly doesn't hedge often, but she had the 20, she nets 20,000. God bless you. But you got to be looking at your baseball portfolios right now. And you got to say, okay, here's what we had in January, February, early March. Now we're into April. And my question is, dark horse in the NCAA, not from the SEC. Any teams that we should be adding that you're getting a nice price right now in the portfolio, Matt?
Well, for starters, Kelly, she said, I'm not hedging, I'm locking in a profit. And I don't blame her with 40 grand on it. Because how good were you feeling after you saw Houston basically manhandle Florida down the stretch? Florida couldn't walk down the court without turning the ball over. So hats off. She almost got both sides. She took Houston +1. That would have been an absolute amazing middle right there. But when I'm looking at futures, so I actually bet a couple the other day, just based on some new numbers that I'd ran. I always try to find somebody that matches the championship formula of college baseball. You got to be top 40 in hitting, top 20 in pitching. You got to have a top 25 strength of schedule, more road wins than losses. You start kind of feeling out these teams, and the ones that are slow to catch up to the odds, because once D1's poll comes out on Mondays, you start seeing odds shift. By Tuesday, Wednesday, they've moved. So I'm actually going to do this in live time. Sorry, this is great for live video. But yesterday, I placed some bets on some numbers that I could still get, and I'm going to see if they've moved yet before I'll still get them out. But
are you moving numbers, Matt?
I doubt it, because I took some longer shots. So you're talking like $50 to $100 bets. But again, I think I'm up like 27 units right now, and I like to reinvest profits into the futures market because it makes for a bigger payday at the end, which is what we all want. So Arkansas is still +900. I think that's a ton of value. You look at Tennessee +400, LSU +750. These 3 teams will cycle between number 1, possibly Texas. I don't know. Texas is kind of an anomaly right now. They're plus 1,500. If you believe that Schloss is going to get back and can win it this year with Texas, bet it at 15-1 right now because I don't think it's going anywhere. If Arkansas loses the series at Georgia this weekend, Texas will be your new number one. If not, it's going to be LSU or Tennessee. I guarantee you every week we're going to have a new number one because of baseball. The next one, to answer your original question, what team outside of the SEC? I think you have to look at Georgia Tech.
I knew that's where Matt was going to go, yeah.
Wake Forest and Q, hats off to Q because he kind of called this in the preseason show. They had a really good roster. They're almost like Arkansas where, yes, they're always going to have good, consistent pitching, but the bats kind of go through lulls. And then you look at the end of the season averages, and they just really aren't a good scoring team. This team is not that. I mean, this is a top 20 team in both pitching and hitting. And the same for Georgia Tech. The only difference for Tech, in my opinion, is they're trading I guess I'm going to say Wake has a stud pitcher in Logan Lunsford. May not. I think Tate McKee is just as good. Wake, I think they just – Nick, do you remember in Q's tweet or text he said the other day, is that kid out for a substantial amount of time?
Yeah, he's out for the season, I believe is what he said. Yeah.
So Wake just took a big blow. They're plus 5,000 right now. Georgia Tech's plus 4,000. And Georgia Tech's got a kid named Drew Burris, who if you've not seen him play baseball, he's really good. He's really good at baseball. Between Mason Patel, Tate McKee, there's another pitcher for Tech the name is escaping me right now. I think Tech's got a pretty good team, and they're sitting there at a top 10 in hitting and then top 20 in pitching. So that's a team to look at, plus 4,000. And then to jump back in the SEC real quick, just to round out my four that I bet yesterday, which was Texas, Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, Ole Miss plus 6,000. Can I just tell you right now, Ole Miss is, I think, 4th in team pitching and 18th in hitting. They fit both. They're in the SEC. They're still winning games. That's a team to look at too.
Matt, by the way, Cross Sports, you did cash on your Gator ticket, correct?
Yes, I did.
All right.
Yeah, I also, right before the game, had this weird feeling that Houston was going to win. I thought it could be reminiscent of the Tennessee game where they just sucked the air out of the stadium and made Florida look stupid. Thought they would contain Walter Clayton, which for whatever 30 minutes looked like dead on. So I actually started doing like these little parlays of basically like a degenerate would. I had like over 3.5 runs for the St. Louis Cardinals parlayed with Houston plus 6. So I just whatever I could get, and I cashed on literally all of them. And another one of my favorite bets is the halftime, full time. I always go reverse, like Florida to win first half, Houston win second. So I had Houston and then Florida, which ended up cashing. I think it was plus 600. I love those in championship games. Just when I don't have a rooting interest, throw $20 on both. Just hope that it's tight and it goes back and forth. So, yeah, I think I ended up making like $1,200 last night.
God bless you. God bless you.
Yeah.
I'll send you an invoice. Nick, Matt had some great ones there. I didn't hear the Clemsons of the world, the Virginias.
No, because if you've listened, you already have those.
I understand that. I understand that, and I don't know how the market has really fluctuated on some of those. So, listen, I'm just bringing up some points. That's all, Mr. Grissom. So, Nick, what do you say?
I still love Clemson, though.
Yeah, Clemson's at plus 1,200 right now. I still think they're going to end up winning the ACC, which means they'll probably be a top 4. I think, unless the ACC, the top just stays crazy. So yeah, and I shouldn't get it out because he kind of wanted like dark horses. I'm still high, and I know Matt's not. I'm still high on Oregon State. I was just looking at it to kind of pull some stuff up. Like they're Sierra, they're 11th in the country. OPS, they're 48th in the country. But they're just now getting healthy on offense. They're like I said, finally getting fully healthy. The talent is absolutely there, and it also helps being on the West Coast. They just took out UC Irvine, who was probably their, well, I'll mention the second team next, so I won't give it away, but was probably one of their two main people that could steal like a national host from them. And now they took 2 or 3. They're at home. So I really think they're going to have a good shot. And I think what they will get if they're a national host, like coming to them, will be pretty good. Like I think what they'll be delivered by the NCAA committee will be very favorable for them. So they'll probably get like Cal Poly is probably in right now, and they'd probably be like their 3. So it'll be very favorable. So I really am still high on Oregon State, and they're still plus 2,000. And I think a lot of that is because they're not getting any media attention. Being an independent this year in baseball, they aren't on TV. Like the only way you can catch them is if you buy like a package through their actual school website. So it's kind of hard to catch their games. And the other one I'll give you, we'll go to the Big Ten for you, Jeff. UCLA has been extremely surprising, very resurgent. And it's not like your UCLA of old where it's like, hey, let's get them over, get them in type of thing. Like they're actually bashing 28th in the country in WRC plus right now. Maybe that has to do with their schedule. Like, yes, the second bottom half of the Big Ten is not fantastic, but they're a very good team. I mean, I've watched them quite a bit, and they're fun. They're good. They have the pitching staff as well. I think the WHIP is 54th. ERA is 45th. So they're good in those stats as well. And like I said, this is another West Coast team. The one I'm afraid here, though, is they're probably not going to be higher than a third. They'll be like a 13-16 if they host, which means you're getting one of the big dogs probably from the SEC traveling there. So that is one where I would say play it now because they're plus 6,600. So it's one of those like play it now and you can hedge later, like and say like who you want to win that regional. If say like Matt said, like Ole Miss will probably host, but you could be like a Vandy would be one. Who else would be in there? Trying to think who else could possibly be one of those teams. But yeah, so I would say they'll get a tough 2 seed. But I still think UCLA at that price and as well as they're playing is worth a little bit of a sprinkle.
Here's something else, Jeff, to consider. Texas A&M, if you remember back, Florida last year, they were 28-27. They were a 3 seed in Stillwater, and then they caught fire. Texas A&M is going to have a better record than 28-27 by the end of the season. They're plus 5,000 right now. They were the consensus preseason number 1. If you believe that A&M has got it figured out, go ahead and bet it now. Because if they win an SEC series, another one, that number is going to be gone because people will officially be on board with A&M is back.
So let's do this because I know, like Matt, what do you think the number is this year? You think it'll be 12 SEC wins or 13 still? I think it might move to 12 just because now there's 14. 16. It was 13 last year, I think is what they said, because that's the only reason. That's what their biggest excuse for Florida was. So that means they have to go 9-11. So they have South Carolina fine, but then they're at Arkansas, at Texas, LSU, and they still have at Georgia as well. So can they win?
They need to win what?
9 of those games. So like you're basically saying they need to probably sweep South Carolina this weekend, to be honest.
I think
or
they'll
at least
sweep
get 2,
South Carolina.
At least get 2, and they would have to steal 1 from everybody else.
I think they can do that.
It's tough.
Our buddy, Mr. Smooth Sean Alvarez, Grissom is
know
with his FOMO for not being in Las Vegas last night.
He's sending me pictures of him and Kelly and everybody at Westgate last night.
A couple minutes left here. A couple numbers just popped up for the midweek here. We'll get some of your selections or thought process. Kind of comical. Auburn at Georgia Tech. DraftKings has a 15 under. It was 14.5. Now it's jumped to 15. Here's what I call the hangover special after a championship game. Florida State travels to Florida. Opened Florida State minus 115. Now 135 at DraftKings. Again, how were the Gators? How's, the team hanging out watching the game last night? The crowd will probably be a little lethargic there, so keep an eye on that. And the other number I have, NC State at East Carolina. NC State opened up minus 120, now minus 130 at East Carolina. A couple of the little darlings here. Oral Roberts at Oklahoma State. Dallas Baptist at Oklahoma. Nick, I'll go to you. Anything you see in the midweek specials on the board?
Well, I'll say this. Florida was going to be lethargic, whether Florida won last night or not with the baseball season they're having. I think the stands there, I don't think that would have made a huge difference. But I kind of, that total in Auburn, Georgia Tech might not be enough, to be honest. Like, this is one of those where I might have to check the weather, because Georgia Tech just went out to Stanford, threw a lot of pitchers, even though they kind of whooped up on them all 3 games. And then Auburn is coming off of the Iron Bowl, where they won two out of 3 against Bama this week. So not sure how much pitching either one of those has left. I would probably lean, if somebody wanted to play the money on, I would probably lean Georgia Tech, especially being at home. I think that Florida State price, even being on the road, seems very low. Florida State's a lot better than Florida is, so I'm surprised that's minus 135. But yeah, there's not a whole lot on the docket right now, so this is going to take a lot of research as soon as our show is over. And once again, Jeff, we say this every week. It's frustrating when I'm at home, like waking up every hour in the around 4, 5, 6, waiting on lines to come out, and there's nothing there. So it's like, here you go. You get to start 2 hours before a game starts.
Matt?
Yep. I'm sitting here looking, Georgia Tech, like I just said, I'm high on them. I actually think Auburn could win that game. I was looking at pitchers, though. It looks like it's going to be Sam Swigert versus Christian Chatterhorn for Auburn. Sam Swigert's got the advantage, 324 Sierra, 413 for Chatterhorn. You look at these two teams hitting, 135 weighted runs created for Auburn, 150 for Tech. The only thing that Auburn has a benefit in is strength of schedule, but being at Georgia Tech, I think the Yellow Jackets get it done in a higher scoring game. So I'd probably go ahead and bet Tech minus 150.
All right, boys, we'll be back Friday, obviously, at 11:05 for Friday Night Lights, and, of course, the weekend series updates. As we always wrap up this segment, Nick, tell them where they can find all your work.
Yeah, in Hathcote 413 on X, best place where I do most of my work for the NCAA Insiders. Also follow our Discord. I meant to do that last Tuesday, completely forgot. So I'm going to post a link to that free Discord. I'll do it from our NCAA Insiders account. And that way it just kind of gets out to everybody. Like I said, it's always free to join. We got a lot of people in there that talk. They give out their own bets, their own leans, kind of what they're seeing. So it's kind of a good place to kind of communicate with other college baseball lovers.
Mr. Grissom.
CollegeBaseballInsiders.com, awesome website to use in your handicapping. All the ranks that we were pulling from, Team Sierra, Team XFIP, all that. You can get on there, use it, handicap your favorite teams, whatever you want to do. And then I'm at Grissom on X, and I think that's it.
They can find also your plays in the clubhouse, right, at Dub Club?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. There's a link on the clubhouse, or for the clubhouse, on collegebaseballinsiders.com.
Gentlemen, enjoy. Have a great midweek. We'll catch up with you guys on Friday for the Friday Night Light special. Matt, don't spend all that money at once, okay?
Hey, when do you have Cannon on for Masters Talk?
12 o'clock, high noon Eastern, 9 a.m. West Coast tomorrow, special edition.
Perfect.
So
you should let Alvarez talk for like 5 minutes too, just so I can fade all his Masters bets.
Oh, that's a good
I'm just kidding, Sean. I know you're still watching.
All right, guys. Have a great week, and we'll catch up soon. Congrats, Matt.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Jeffrey.
Thank you. Go follow the boys at NCAA Siders, at Grissom on X, Q Millie on assignment, Nick Hathcote at nhathcote413. Quick commercial break. When we come back, Adam Ronis at Adam Ronis makes his debut here at ECSI. We couldn't be more happier. Stay tuned.
Jared, hey, we're going to need you to tone it down with the Summer Friday thing, okay?
What are you talking about?
Well, for one, it's not summer anymore.
Oh, really?
Coconut. Also, who is this?
I'm the caddy.
Oh, he's my intern.
Sorry, intern. I'm his intern.
Yeah, he's doing a great job.
No golfing in the office, okay? Summer Fridays are over. You can keep the Hawaiian shirt, but the rest of this stuff, all right? Are you grilling?
Oh, yeah. Did you want a burger or a hot dog?
No, grilling in the office.
It's a good point. We should take this outside.
No, that don't. You put that right back down.
Yo, it's all in the hips.
Oh, dude, come on, we gotta go. Let's go.
Well, this has been a long time coming. I don't know even know if Adam remembers. We've had a lot of passing, whether in the hallways or whatever, with the NFFC. I made it a point every year to travel to New York and to do the live auctions and drafts on Labor Day weekend with Tom and the rest of the crew at the NFFC. Then we'd head up to Vegas and see good friend Mr. Greg Ambrosius and the rest of the gang there. I live 12 minutes from Sean Childs. Fantasy is a big part of our lives, and it has been. And so when I reached out to Adam to say, hey, we should start doing some stuff here, because this gentleman works Matthew Berry Fantasy Life, and that won't kick off really till July. So it was time to connect here, and we're hoping for big things here. So without further ado, Mr. Adam Ronis.
What's going on? Good to be here, man.
Oh, we're super stoked to have you here. You know, I could talk for hours with you, and our thought process is a little introduction, the journey. As I said, Matthew Berry, you do a lot of fantasy work. You're doing some great work, obviously, on Sirius Radio XM as well. So, Adam, welcome aboard. I know it's the off season, but there's no such thing as an off season. What's keeping you busy right now?
Oh, yeah, there's no off season. Just because I do fantasy football, fantasy basketball, fantasy baseball, and betting for all three sports. So there's never a time off. You know, I'm giving out picks daily for baseball and basketball right now. So there's no off time at all. There's always something going on. It doesn't feel like there's a day you can breathe. Even on a day like last night, only 2 NBA games, but you had a lot of baseball going on. So there's no days off for me.
And we're getting close to NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, of course, now with March Madness over. It's Masters Week, but the MLB comes, of course, to the forefront here. And when people are starting to fade in our lanes, this is where we start to cook with Crisco, Adam.
Oh, yeah. Again, there's always something going on. There's always a day where you can make money, and it is a good time. April's always a great time. As you mentioned, March Madness just came to a conclusion last night. You have the Masters, baseball just kicking off. You got the playoffs getting ready for NBA and NHL. NFL draft is 2 weeks away. So there's always something to do. It's never a slow time for me at all. You know, people would always ask me, like, when's your slow time? And there really isn't. For real, there's no slow time. I mean, maybe late February might be the slowest, but I still got NBA going on. And at that time, I'm also preparing for fantasy baseball drafts. But there really is not a slow time if you're covering multiple sports. There's always something going on. Maybe the slowest time is July for the All-Star break for baseball. Probably that's the slowest time, right? Because you got those 3-4 days of not much going on. But that's about it. And that's the summer too. Maybe you want to get away and take a vacation during that time. But there's never a slow period when you're covering all these sports, and especially if you're doing betting and doing it on a daily basis.
I was blessed in 2017, I was the first. Now, I don't know if it has been duplicated. I won not one, but two national titles with the NFFC. We took the overall down in the Classic, and we beat about 2,600 teams in the overall in the online championship. On my LinkedIn page is a picture of me and Scott Kelly holding a check for, it was around $195,000. That was when, let's say, Cooper Kupp was in diapers. Josh Gordon was still relevant. We got Todd Gurley on a big year. DeAndre Hopkins on a bounce back year. The funny thing is, on one of those teams, I had no live quarterback going into week 13, and we took 3 off the scrap heap, and Blake Bortles, Adam, took us to a championship.
Yeah, we all have those stories. And as bad as Bortles was as far as turning the ball over and throwing those interceptions, he was on a team that just passed a lot. He was able to put up those 300-yard passing games and get some touchdowns. So we all have those stories where we had a really good team, a quarterback went down, and found someone down the stretch that stepped in and performed. And, that's always a debate. Even to this day, there's a lot of people who believe that you should wait on quarterbacks in fantasy football, and others that are now paying up more than ever. And when you look at the landscape right now, it doesn't hurt to pay up for Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. We know what they're going to give you, but I always say on the opposite, there are always guys that you can find late or that emerge off the waiver wire. I mean, last year we saw Baker Mayfield going in the last couple of rounds. He finished as a top quarterback. Sam Darnold was likely taken off the waiver wire. He finished as a top quarterback. You could have gotten Bo Nix off the waiver wire. So there's so many ways to play that. The strategy of the quarterback in fantasy football, I think it works both ways. Clearly, you like your build better, especially if you're playing a league with 3 receivers in a flex or 3 receivers in 2 flexes. You like your build better if you can wait on the quarterback and build those skill positions. But I think it could work both ways. But I do tend to wait on the quarterback position just because you can find someone in the middle to late rounds. The key is finding that guy before everyone else does. If you can do that, then you can build a powerhouse fantasy team.
We're a couple weeks away from the NFL draft. And, from a fantasy perspective, where does Ashton Genty go? I am so high on Omarion Hampton. I hope the Patriots sneak back into the late first round, maybe steal him. Wide receiver, Patriots sitting at 4, was hoping for Travis Hunter to make it to him. It doesn't sound that way. It looks like Tet stock is dropping. And I think the wild card in this draft is Tyler Warren, where if the Patriots traded back, you could get a Tyler Warren at 8 or 9. I know Loveland from Michigan is another big tight end. And the game has changed with the tight ends. We've seen, look what Brock Bowers did last year. We've seen Kincaid from Buffalo, Laporta from Detroit. What are your eyes seeing as we get a couple weeks from the NFL draft? Are you eyeing any of these young kids and hoping they go to certain teams?
Yeah, it looks really good at the running back position. This is a draft deep at the running back position, not so at wide receiver. And you mentioned the 2 tight ends with Loveland and Warren. And that's the thing that has changed about fantasy. For years, people were saying you cannot draft a rookie tight end. It's going to take time to acclimate to the NFL. They're not going to put up stats. And that clearly has changed with what we've seen from Laporta in his rookie year, and especially Brock Bowers last year, who was at times going in the 9th round last year. I was able to get him in a couple leagues, but I regret obviously not taking him more. It was clear he was going to play a big role. You don't draft a tight end that early and not use him, and he had a great year. So Warren and Loveland in the right spot, obviously. I think they're going to both be, top 10, top 15 picks at the tight end position. We've come that far. And Ashton Genty is going to go in the first round. I know in early best ball drafts on Underdog, he's in the 2nd round, but that hype's going to build, especially if he goes to a spot that seems conducive for fantasy success. A lot of the early mocks have him potentially going to Vegas. They certainly could use a running back. He's a 3-down back. He's one of the best prospects we've seen. So I don't think people are afraid to take these rookie running backs anymore, because we've seen if you're drafted early, like a Saquon Barkley, Jahmyr Gibbs in your rookie year, you're going to play a big role and you could put up massive fantasy numbers. So I think Genty, by the time we get to the big money drafts in August, he's going to be in the first round.
And they're already drafted in the NFFC already. The trendsetters have already had their draft, and just looking at some first rounds, I'm not. Adam, you are going to learn here. One of my favorite sayings is I took it from Mike Francesa. Listen, if I wasn't invited to the wedding, don't expect me at the funeral. And I wasn't a part of the Barkley train last year. I'm not paying the tax up front for him this year. Obviously, as you know, in the NFFC, you see a lot of yellow tags early for the wide receivers. Is it Jamar Chase? Are you going to go on a CD Lamb there? My binky last year, Brian Thomas, I'm seeing late first round. I'd have to pay a big tax there. Jamar Gibbs, I'm a David Montgomery guy. They would give him to me 5th, 6th, and 7th. I had him on every team as my number 2. What are you seeing in the first rounds right now? Anything really jump off the page for you?
Nothing crazy. I'm with you on Barkley because he just had such a massive workload. So what was crazy about last year was we saw the running backs stay healthy. We usually don't see that. There were 7 running backs last year that had at least 300 carries. 2 years ago, the high mark was 280 by Derrick Henry. So you just had all these running backs stay healthy, and it was the wide receiver position that got decimated by injury, which hurt me because I tend to go wide receiver heavy. I do play in a lot of leagues that are PPR and 3 wide receivers, and I play in a couple leagues that have 2 flex. So I tend to go, I want to get 1 bell cow running back early in the first 2 or 3 rounds and heavy wide receiver. And that was a formula that really didn't work last year. I had a lot of Chris Godwin, and he was on his way to a record-breaking season. He got hurt. I had a lot of Rashee Rice. I thought he was so undervalued because I didn't see a suspension coming. And as we got closer, people started to realize that. So I was getting him at a bargain. Then he goes down with injury. So a lot of those receivers got hurt, and all the running backs stayed healthy. I know there are people out there say, hey, what about Christian McCaffrey? I was off him. I'm on the record. It was on my shows. I said I would not take him number 1 because if you look at the history of McCaffrey, whenever he had a massive workload, he didn't play the next season. And I was very worried about that calf injury in the preseason. So many people were downplaying it, saying, oh, it's the preseason. 49ers are being cautious. And then that Monday night, first game of the season, he's not playing, and then he's out. So I avoided Christian McCaffrey. I had Bijan Robinson over him. But I really got hurt by the wide receiver injury bug. And what people tend to do is they draft based on what they saw last year. We all know you can't do that. It's a new season. So I still will go heavy with wide receivers. It would be great to get one of those early running backs. But if I don't, I'm not worried about it. And last year, it worked out if you went running back heavy because a lot of those running backs in rounds 4, 5, 6 really paid dividends. The Joe Mixon, Alvin Kamara. I mean, so many of them. And it was a rare season where you saw running backs play 16, 17 games across the board. We all know that is not going to repeat. We don't look, we're not rooting for injury. We want everyone to stay healthy. That doesn't happen. I mean, just look at all the injuries going on in baseball right now. It's absolutely ridiculous. Every day I wake up and now I got an NFBC auction league. 5 of my 7 bench spots are out. So I'm probably going to have to make a tough cut this week, but injuries are going to happen and you cannot expect these running backs to stay healthy. But I think the market, at least so far, like you said, you're seeing a lot of receivers go. So those are savvy people there. I think in your home leagues, though, you're going to see heavy running backs, and we all know they're not going to stay healthy again as a group for a second straight season like that.
Before we get into today's slate, some NBA, MLB picks, props, whatever you might have, go follow Adam at Adam Ronis at MBF Fantasy Life, and of course, Sirius XM Fantasy. When it comes to drafts, I usually will go on and I'll do 5 to 10 slow drafts, 30 rounders, basically in June and July, just to get a feel for the board and stuff. Then I'll pick up the pace, obviously, late July into August. And then we know in September, the big push up as we get closer to Labor Day. I think the hardest question is, do you pay the tax? Brock Bowers, Brian Thomas, you're looking for edges. You're looking for separators. Obviously, Bowers in the tight end spot is a separator if he stays healthy. Now, of course, it's Geno Smith this year. there? Or do you buy the dips? I was high on Brees Hall, and what a dud last year. Big dip this year. I guess my question, Adam, do you buy the dips? I was off of McCaffrey as well. Do you pay the taxes on a Brock Bowers or a Brian Thomas this year?
I think Bowers is tough just because of the build. You need him to hit. If you take that elite tight end early and they flop, you're in trouble. Because if you're taking that tight end round 1 or 2, you're not taking a backup tight end until the end of the draft, and you might not take one at all. Now, I always depends on how many roster spots. You play a lot of high stakes leagues, so we're talking 20 rounds. And I play mostly 20 rounds as well. So if I'm going to be in a league with 20 roster spots, I will take a backup quarterback and a backup tight end. But if you're taking a tight end that early, there's no need for you to invest in a second tight end round 10, 11, 12. It doesn't make any sense at that point because Bowers is your guy every week. So that means you're taking someone late that's probably going to be a cut. So you need that tight end to hit. So I'm probably not going to do it with Bowers. Maybe McBride, especially if I can get him a couple rounds later. I was very high on him last year. I was also high on Kincaid, and that was a bust. So that's what hurts. If you are going to take that tight end, even in the first 5 rounds, he's got to hit. Because if you take like Dalton Kincaid last year in round 5, that's a real problem because you stay patient early in the year, you invest into draft capital, and you just stick with him. And then it comes a point where you go, this is not working. Now, there were reports that he played through injury last year, and he shouldn't have been on the field, and he played through it. Yeah, it's great that we hear that now. I wish I would have heard that last year. Similar to Blake Snell. Yeah, I've been dealing with the shoulder for 3 weeks. Cool. You could have let people know beforehand, but players are going to do that, and that's part of the luck factor here. But Brian Thomas, I'm fine with just because, and I was with you too. I got him like round 8, round 9 last year. And boy, that's what we're looking for, right? We want those guys. Those are the difference makers, those guys in the middle rounds. We talk about the first few rounds so much. You just want your first few rounds not to get hurt and for them to stay on the field and be productive. But Thomas is in a great spot. I mean, he's commanding targets in this offense. You know, Christian Kirk is gone. Evan Ingram is gone. We saw what he did late last year. I know a lot of it came with Mac Jones, but I think with Trevor Lawrence, he'll be fine. It's a new offense there as well. So I'm fine with Brian Thomas. I think he's in a second-year receiver. We saw what he did at the end of his rookie year. He showed he can get it done as the focal point of the offense. So I'm fine taking Brian Thomas late first round.
And, the funny thing is, we grew up in the Gronk era. I was never a
Jimmy Graham.
Jimmy. Oh, I love Jimmy Graham. Love me some Jimmy Graham. And the people try to say when you drafted tight end early, think of him as a 1 or a 2 wide receiver as you're building that model. I can never wrap my head around that thought process. I always feel like I'm chasing at him.
Yeah, no, I agree too. And especially if you do take that tight end early, it really hurts. It kind of boxes you out of taking a quarterback early. Like if you look at the builds of a teams that take a tight end and a quarterback in the first 5, 6 rounds, you're just not going to like the wide receivers or running backs. It's just, I've seen it, and it's something that I can't do. So if I am going to take the tight end early, and my inclination round is no. I don't usually build my teams that way. I did back in the, like you said, the Gronk, Jimmy Graham. There were times I did take Gronk in round 2 or late round 1 on the turn. I have done it and did have success, but I think it's more difficult to do now, especially with wide receivers where the balls are getting spread around so much. You really want to get those receivers early that command a big target share.
Well, let's jump into today. Let's jump into the NBA, MLB, your forte right now. As we're getting closer to the playoffs in the NBA, we talk sports around the clock here, whether it's futures, whether it's props, whatever. We're getting closer to the actual playoffs. We'll have the play-in games, then the brackets. Is there a team or two that you're a little high on, maybe to close strong, or a couple teams right now that you're currently fading them?
Well, the NBA right now, it's ridiculous because you have so many teams tanking and you have teams with spots locked up. So the teams that you really want to look at right now are in the West because we have a real battle from 3 to 8. It's really tight, and you want to avoid those play-in games if possible. So the Lakers are in a good spot after their win against the Thunder the other day. Now, they play tonight. I think they're going to rest a lot of guys here because they have a back-to-back. They're in Dallas tomorrow, nationally televised game. Luka going back to Dallas. So the Lakers need 2 wins to avoid the play-in game. So they probably feel like tonight is a game against the Thunder. They already beat the Thunder 2 days ago, and that opened eyes. I think it was a 9.5-point spread that night. It's 14.5 tonight. And the Lakers are listing a lot of players as questionable, and Rui Hachimura has already been ruled out. So I think the Lakers are going to sit some guys tonight and then get ready to beat up on Dallas tomorrow. And then I think they had another team that was a pretty easy win. So be careful of that. Then you have Minnesota, Memphis, Clippers, and Golden State all at 46 and 32. So it's a big game for Minnesota tonight. So I'm going to look at Anthony Edwards tonight. Minnesota's in Milwaukee on the road. Minnesota is favored by 5.5. So I'm going to look at Anthony Edwards. He's going to play massive minutes tonight. His points rebound prop is 31.5. He played the Bucks earlier this year at 28.7 rebounds. Bucks allow the 5th most points per game to shooting guards this season. And it's a good spot here for Anthony Edwards. So I want to look at teams that are playing for something. Even these tanking teams, I see people getting upset when like props don't hit. I'm like, guys, they're not. Just look at the trend. They're playing these guys 25 minutes, even if they start. They don't want to win these games. So there's a lot of double-digit spreads tonight as well. So this is a time where you really have to pay attention to the news, and it could open up opportunity for those lesser players as well that we know are going to get expanded roles. So we still don't have a lot of news on players being out. There's 5 double-digit spreads today. I mentioned Memphis as one of the teams that has something to play for, but they're on the road against the Hornets as 14.5-point favorites. So they're probably going to win that game with ease. The game that's interesting tonight, Knicks-Celtics, it's more meaningful for the Knicks because the Knicks have not been able to beat any of the top teams this year. They need one more win, I believe, to get the 3 seed, but the Knicks got the Cavaliers on the schedule this week as well. So these are, from a standings point, not big games, but I think for the Knicks they are, because we want to know, do the Knicks have any shot to beat a Boston or a Cleveland? Most people would say no right now. Jalen Brunson just came back last game. He should be good to go. The Knicks are, I'm seeing right now, 1.5-point favorites. So maybe the Celtics are sitting a couple guys. I did see Porzingis was at shoot around. But this is a big test for the Knicks to show they need a victory against the Celtics and Cavaliers to have people believe. Because if they go into the playoffs losing to all the top teams, no one's going to buy them at all.
I think the East is as easy as the Cavaliers or the Celtics. Out West, it was kind of funny. I put together a couple parlays, and we don't listen. Parlays are for fun. They're resume builders. We had a Florida Final Four ticket with the Lakers to win the West, and then we had a Florida championship tickets with OKC to win the West, and then we tied them up with a Rory to win the Masters or a Scotty Scheffler to win the Masters, with the Red Sox to make the playoffs, basically. So back East, is it as simple as Cleveland or Boston to come out of the East?
Yeah, I just don't see anyone else. Like, I want to say the Knicks, but how can you? They have just not – they've gotten destroyed by the top teams as well. So I don't see it. And then the problem with the Knicks is, too, they're going to have to face the Celtics in the second round and on the road. So, look, we know how good Boston is when they're – especially when they're shooting as well as they are. They're just tough to beat. So, yeah, I really don't see anyone else. I think the West, you can make a case for a few teams. You know, I think a lot of people just want to pick against Oklahoma City. I don't know why. You look at all the metrics, they've been the top team. I guess the biggest concern for them is the game is different in the playoffs, the lack of experience. You know, they did have that experience last year, but if a team is taking SGA away, who's going to step up and beat them? I think Jalen Williams can, Chet Holmgren. They're really good. The Lakers obviously are dangerous. I mean, when you have Luka and LeBron, and Austin Reeves. Reeves has been playing great basketball. Dallas should have gotten him in the trade. I mean, I don't know how they did not get him in that trade. Reeves is a guy whose props I've been hammering all the time. I mean, the other day I took him, I think it was 20.5 points. I was like, really? I don't really care who they're playing right now. That's too low of a line. So the Lakers absolutely got a shot when you got those two. We all know superstars matter in the playoffs, and they've been playing when they have their entire team. They've been playing well. It would have been nice if they had a center, but you know that trade didn't go through for Mark Williams. Denver obviously has Jokic, but they have so many problems on the defensive side. Jamal Murray's not healthy. The Clippers are interesting. When Kawhi Leonard has been healthy, they've been good. No one's really talking about them, but he's been playing 38, 39 minutes. He played on a back-to-back the other day, which I was stunned. You don't have to worry about that in the playoffs. I've been hammering his props as well, his points, rebounds, assists. Probably not going to do it today just because of the blowout potential. They're home against the Spurs, 12.5-point spread. So you worry about him playing the fourth quarter. He might be able to get it done in the third, but probably not going to risk it there. Golden State, obviously, what is it, like 20-3 now since they acquired Jimmy Butler? I know Houston really shut them down the other day. And Curry had 3 points. That's just unbelievable. No one's buying Houston. You just look at the betting market, even though they are the 2 seed. But that team, Udoka's done a really good job coaching them. They play really hard. They play good defense, but no one is buying them in the market, but they're not going to be an easy out. And then Minnesota. We saw Minnesota make the run last year as well. And when they've been completely healthy this year, they played well. So that's what makes the West so interesting, because you're going to have a cakewalk for the 1 seed, the 2 seed in the East. It's not a cakewalk for the Thunder. I mean, could you imagine the Thunder have to play Minnesota in the first round or Golden State? That's one of the toughest paths that you can get. So I think maybe that's part of the reason why people are a little worried about OKC. The path there is not going to be easy, even if they get Memphis in the first round. I know Memphis has struggled and they made the coaching change, but it's not your typical 8 seed. So maybe that's why people are a little worried about OKC. But what OKC has done this year and all the metrics, they've been phenomenal. I mean, it's backed up by like everything.
Dallas, a 5 seed last year, made that magical run. As you said, Minnesota, Golden State. You talk about Denver. The Wild West is going to be something. We're super stoked for that coming soon, real soon. Baseball, full slate. Back east here, I'm on Cape Cod, Adam. We are at 43 degrees. At least it's not raining today. It's always hard when we're handicapping our baseball, weather, the start and stops. These numbers are predicated on the starting pitching. And if you got rain early, I really want to stay out of the start and stop situations. Wind blowing in, wind blowing out. We're into the second full week of bases. How's bases been treating you? And big card today. Anything piquing your interest early?
Yeah, so yesterday I was 2-0. I had a third prop, Jackson Merrill, but he was scratched. He didn't play, so didn't get that one in. So the weather is very important right now. I don't think people look at it enough, because there's some hot hitters that I want to take, but I can't when I look at the weather, and it's brutal today. We already had a couple days ago, Yankees, Detroit, they moved the game up. They moved all 3 games up. The Mets and Marlins, they moved the game from 7 to 4. Meanwhile, I got softball at 8:45 in 30-degree weather. They haven't moved the time of my game. So, it's looking at 35-mile-per-hour wind gust in Miami and the Mets. You've got White Sox, Cleveland, temperatures in the 30s. St. Louis, Pittsburgh, temperature in the 30s. You mentioned Toronto, Boston, with heavy winds there. Texas, Chicago, temperatures in the 30s. And the thing there is Patrick Corbin is making his debut for Texas, and we love to pick on Patrick Corbin and some of those right-handed bats. But let me give you this, okay? I haven't seen it much anywhere, but I've noticed this trend. Sacramento, that ballpark, it's a minor league ballpark. Temperatures there were 70. So I've taken the over 8.5 runs in the last 3 games. Last night, now I just got by, it was 9. But 53 runs scored in 4 games in Sacramento. The Cubs were there for the first series and absolutely destroyed it. The only reason why I'm a little leery tonight is you have Dylan Cease on the mound. We had Michael King yesterday, and he wasn't great, but gave us enough to go over the over. But Jeffrey Springs, a lefty. You got Fernando Tatis on fire, Machado on fire. We'll see if Merrill's back in the lineup. They said he was being held out because of a little hamstring tightness. Springs was great in his first outing, but that was in Seattle. We know it's a tough park for hitters, but against the Cubs, he only went 3 innings, gave up 5 runs, 4 earned, walked 4. So that's a trend. The books are giving us 8.5 again tonight. So I haven't placed it yet. I'm probably going to take it. The only concern is Dylan Cease. He could shut down Oakland. Although we've seen Tyler Soderstrom off to a great start with 6 home runs. I love Brett Rooker, Lawrence Butler. I actually like this A's lineup, but that is something to look at here, especially as it heats up, because the books haven't adjusted yet. That is a park that's going to be a lot of runs. We know the A's have some shaky pitching, so that's something to look at. If they're going to keep giving us that 8.5 runs, actually, I can't. Tomorrow, 3:35 in the afternoon, we got Randy Vasquez and Oswaldo Bido, who's not bad, but Vasquez, that 1.69 ERA is very misleading. He's walked 9 batters over 10 2/3 innings. So hopefully they hang the 8.5 on us in that ballpark tomorrow too. But that's something to keep an eye on if the books are slow to adjust Sacramento games.
We were in on Padres first 5 minus the hook. Had to sweat that, in the 4th inning. They had first and third, 1 out at 4-3, but we cashed out. We also had Padres team total over 2.5 plus 115 first 5, scored 3 in the first. Nothing better than playing with the house money after that. And I tell you what, I'm a big first 5 guy. I'm a big team total guy. I don't like to worry about the back ends. And so I always talk about the home team. Now, we know the Dodgers, they got a historic team. They started the year 9-0, and it was easy as, hey, if I lose in the matinee, I lose at night. I always got the Dodgers at night to bail myself out, and they've kind of, a little reality has come in. But my point here, Adam, is when you're a home team, a lot of people like to play the run line. And I always try to say to them, hey, I understand you don't want to play the minus 200. I get that. But you're only guaranteed 24 outs. You're not guaranteed that 9th inning. And if you do get to the bottom of the 9th, you're either tied or trailing and need a 2-run, 3-run, or a grand slam to walk that one off. So look at the first 5s. Look at the run lines where the actual pitching advantage, because they're minus 200, is kind of sort of why they're minus 200. So take advantage of that, minus the hook, and then get plus money or even money.
Yeah, and also we all know some of these teams, the bullpens are awful, right? You might have a top pitcher on the mound that you really like and feel like he's going to shut down the opponent. And if you take the whole game, now you got to worry about the bullpen holding the lead. So yeah, that is a good way to do it too. And the team totals as well. Those are good things to look at, especially in the right pitching matchup where you know that offense is going to feast. Now, it does backfire sometimes. The Phillies have kind of gotten off to a little bit of a slow start and disappointed. But again, it's early in the year. And weather is a big factor. You're seeing so many teams right now that are not hitting at all. Like, I'm a Mets fan, and as good as the Mets are, nice start, 7-3, they are not hitting at all. Their pitching has been amazing. I think they're first in ERA probably for the bullpen and starters. They faced Miami 4 times. That has helped. A Houston offense that's struggling. But you're seeing so many teams, the batting average so low right now. And I do think weather's a big factor. I mean, it's awful weather on the East Coast today. This is not baseball weather.
No, and you would think that when they're putting the schedule together, especially the first couple of weeks, send the East Coast teams out west, play in the domes, make it a little conducive for these guys, Adam.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they take that into account. I guess it's just so much they can do. You can't just have everyone out there, but at least move up the starting times, which again, the Tigers did today, the Mets did today. But yeah, some of these games tonight are just going to be horrendous conditions. I love going to baseball games, but it is not fun to sit out there in 30-degree weather in April. It just makes no sense. And it does impact the game. I mean, you're seeing the offense just lackluster. You saw a lot of games last night with no home runs. So you got to check that weather report. It's so important. And I don't think people do it enough.
The scroll has been going the whole time. They can follow you on Twitter at Adam Ronis. They can catch you at MB Fantasy Life. Of course, that's Matthew Berry. Sirius XM Fantasy. I always wrap up this segment with everyone basically tell them where they can find all your work. And I really wanted to close this segment on you talking about Dub Club. I know you've partnered with Dub Club. You're on fire. Where can they find you on Dub Club and all your plays as well, Adam?
Yeah, on Twitter or X at Adam Ronis in my bio, you'll see it. There's a link to the Dub Club where you can get a a week subscription, a month, 2 months, 6 months, whatever you want. So if you want to try it for a week and see if I back up my talk, that's fine. I post the results every night. You could go see the results from last night, and throughout my timeline, there's links to get on there. I'm on Instagram at ARON88, TikTok at Adam Ronis. So always posting the links and posting the results. I go through ridiculous hot streaks. There's going to be losing nights. You know, I had a 2-3 night the other day. It's documented there, but you know, a lot more wins than losses. And that's really what I'm about. Long-term profit. You know, I'm not giving these plus 8,000 parlays that people post that they lose 50 of them before they hit one. It's great. I know people want that. It's the lottery, but it's a long-term profit is my goal. And I've shown over time through numerous sports and wherever platforms I've been on in the past that, you know, I've had success. So you can try it out, you know, again, a week, a month. If you don't like it, you can leave. You know, you don't have to commit. But I think in the long run, you'll see that there's going to be long-term profit if you stick with me. And, you know, you can never judge someone off one day, a week, a month. You need to see a large sample. I know people want immediate results, but I've shown it over time. So I just want to help everyone, you know, make some extra money. I've gotten some nice feedback on it. People are happy. So, yeah, you can see the link. If you just go to X at Adam Ronis, it's in my bio, click the link, and it shows you the different price points.
Well, we're happy and stoked to have you on board here. Again, NBA playoffs right around the corner. MLB every day here, and you're preaching our language here. It's a marathon, not a sprint. As I tell everyone, if you need a new pair of sneakers, head on over to your local FootJoy or wherever you Foot Locker or wherever you go and get yourself a new pair of Nike. So thank you so much. I want to thank everyone. Standing room only on Twitter. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support. You can head on over to YouTube at East Coast Sports Investors. Subscribe. It's free. We just crossed the 10,000 subscriber barrier there. So thank you all for support. Tomorrow, high noon, 9 a.m. Pacific, Brady Cannon at Las Vegas Golfer at Sports Grid will be here for the special Masters edition. You don't want to miss that. So thank you so much, guys, and stay tuned.